FPL Game Week 8 team selection and questions. The FPL deadline is fast approaching tomorrow, Saturday at 11 o'clock British time. So in today's video, we'll be going through a review of how I got my third green arrow in a row, some of the injury news leading into Game Week 8, and of course my team and the transfer plans. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and as you can see, they did go green. Yep, that's now 3 green arrows in a row, so hopefully we're moving in the correct direction, which is hopefully a lot higher than 3 million. But in terms of rank targets, typically trying to be, I don't really look at the rank until really like the halfway point, especially this year where there's extra chips, and now, you know, obviously there's going to be a bit of chip inflation. Some people might have more points than they should do, and obviously I've still yet to use my free hits. I've still got yet to do my triple captain, for example. So in terms of rank targets, yeah, usually would want to be around Game Week 20 in around the 250k mark. So we're gonna just keep plugging away to that. But as of Game Week 7, yeah, it was pretty much the Semenyo and Haaland show. Well, actually that's not even true. It was the Semenyo show, because he was the only one to get double-digit returns. But then Gabriel did return 9. Raya just returned his clean sheet at 6, which is, you know, would take that all day long. And then the rest of the team didn't really do too much. Ndai scored a penalty and didn't do anything else really in that game. Richard did get some DEFCON, but yeah, not too much happening. So I'm kind of planning wholesale changes. I might actually make use of all 3 of my free transfers, as we might see in the transfer plans. But before we get to that, we're just going to go through a few rundown of the press conferences and some injury news. So just getting into the Game Week 8 questions and the FAQs, and let's start with Chelsea because there's a lot to unpack here. First off, Cole Palmer is out for probably 6 more weeks according to Maresca, so he's going to be expected back around Game Week 13, Game Week 14, which is essentially the end of November, start of December. I wonder if he makes the Arsenal game. I doubt they rush him back for that, but so let's see, maybe he comes off the bench in that game. Benoit Badiashile is also out until December, so they're going to be 1 defender short. And then Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, and Moises Caicedo apparently didn't train on Thursday and may join on Friday's training session. They will face fitness tests, but Caicedo was actually pictured at training on Thursday, so I'm not too sure how much we should believe those comments. Then at Manchester City, Pep has confirmed that Marmoush and Aït-Nouri are close to coming back. So whether or not that has a good effect on Reinders, don't know. Of course, people getting quite twitchy with Reinders because he's not really returning anything. So let's see what happens there. And then the Arsenal availability as well. Both Ben White and Martin Zubimendi sat out training, but are both available for Game Week 8 against Fulham, according to Arteta. So, of course, the White one is kind of relevant just in case people are looking at Timber. I'm sort of looking at Timber as well, I guess, but not this week. I don't think so, but let's see what happens, because I think, you know, triple Arsenal might be Gabriel, Timber, Saka instead of Gyökeres or Raya. So let's see how that develops. But for now, that's how I'm looking at it. Game Week 8 captain, like I said previously, I think it is perma captain territory at the moment for Haaland. If you do feel super differential, you want to go for Saka, fair enough. And then obviously Salah has a great record against Manchester United, but I don't think Salah is worth owning, yet alone captaining. So that's how I rank it at the moment. So into the planned transfers for my own personal team, and as mentioned in the video that I released earlier this week in the Vert Verified Power Ranking, I did look at all 20 teams and their performance levels for both attacking and defensive output. It did weigh the XG with the goals, 70% of XG to 30% of goals, essentially just to map out, you know, the true performance of all the teams at the moment so far. And while Arsenal are quite far away in the attacking metrics, Newcastle do run Arsenal quite close. And then you look at the actual FPL point scoring, and you see that Pope has actually scored more points than Raya despite costing 0.6 million less. And given that Arsenal will be facing Burnley and Sunderland in the next 4, where you expect them to, you know, score a few goals there, I do think it's worthwhile owning double attack. So those were the thoughts that I put together for FPL Focal, and it was in the video, so you can check that out. And you also find out in the video the analysis that I actually went through as well. I'll link it here. But I'm looking at Project Saka in this week, which means I need to remove an Arsenal asset because I own 3 already. So I think Raya Pope makes sense if can get Saka to exchange. And then there's also going to be the removal of a certain Bruno Fernandes, who I should not be owning, to be honest. Like, every time I speak to a Bruno owner, it's like, oh, what if he scores a penalty? What if he gets DEFCON? For 9 million, I'm sorry, that's just not worth it. And then you look at United, and then, you know, they're not really scoring many goals. Yes, they have decent enough fixtures, but I don't really back them, especially when the alternatives are owning someone like Enzo Fernandez, where, you know, I'm going to go into him about his attacking metrics at the moment. But with Palmer out and great fixtures on the horizons for Chelsea, I think that's a very easy move. So into the team selection, and if I go ahead with the planned transfers, because of course they are not confirmed at the moment, and I do have reserved the right to change my mind as I usually do, but Nick Pope will be travelling down to the south coast from the northeast this weekend. Newcastle have kept 5 clean sheets across the first 7 game weeks, which is the league's best record, and it's ahead of Arsenal's as well. And the Magpies keeper is also the highest scoring for his position, so I do think it's a very easy trade to make if I do go ahead with it. Then Marcos Senesi finally failed to deliver DEFCON for the first time this season in Game Week 7, having hit the 10 DEFCON mark in the first 6 game weeks. Despite this, he's the 3rd highest scoring defender in FPL, behind Gabriel and Timber by 1 and 2 points respectively. And Bournemouth have actually kept a clean sheet in each of their last 4 league matches against Crystal Palace. So hopefully there's at least DEFCON on the menu. Gabriel Magalhaes makes the short trip to West London this weekend for the late kickoff on Saturday. The Brazilian is in great form in the league, at least from an FPL perspective, and he's delivered at least 9 points in 3 of the last 4 game weeks. And with considering that Rodrigo Muniz of Fulham is ruled out and Raul Jimenez is to be assessed, the clean sheets prospect look pretty decent this week. Trevor Chalobah returns from suspension as he sat out his side's win over Liverpool in Game Week 7. With that red card against Manchester United the previous game week. The Chelsea defender travels to a Forest side who have scored just once in 4 league games under new coach Ange Postecoglou, who is constantly facing growing pressure with every week, it seems, and alternatives apparently being discussed as reported as well. So very much in the sack race for Ange, which makes this a great fixture in my opinion. And the Blues defender has taken 6 shots in the box, which is actually the 4th most in the league across all the defenders. Antoine Semenyo is far and away the highest scoring midfielder this season, and he's returned 9 times, attacking wise anyway, in the first 7 game weeks, and he's actually hit DEFCON as well. And he ranks top across the position for shots in the box, and big chances. So he's a very easy own right now. If Bukayo Saka comes in that 3-way move with using the 3 free transfers, all of them, he will get his first start of the season in my team, and it's always good to have Saka in my team as an Arsenal fan and a Saka stan. He became the first player in the league to record over 1 expected assist in a single game in the welcome of West Ham in Game Week 7. He also recorded his 100th goal contribution in his 200th Premier League game after dispatching the penalties. It does remain to be seen whether he assumes responsibility for all the penalties. Of course, we have seen him give them away before. I'm of the personal opinion that Gyökeres is actually the designated penalty taker, but it was a milestone match for him, so I think it made sense to let him take the penalty. But considering Fulham have kept just 1 clean sheet this season, I think Arsenal will look to continue this trend, as a win will take them to the top of the Premier League. Enzo Fernandez, if he passes the late fitness test, will look to fill the void left by Cole Palmer. He has 5 attacking returns through 7 game weeks, which is a very good return for him, and across all the positions, only a certain Erling Haaland has recorded more non-penalty expected goal involvements than the Argentine. So Enzo ranks 2nd for non-penalty expected goal involvements throughout the whole league. So considering he faces Sunderland, Wolves and Burnley in the next 5s, it seems a great time to jump on right now. Tijani Reinders is fast approaching the 8th attacker territory, so probably the first sub mid if I can make some changes somewhere down the line. But he does remain great value for what he offers, considering that I bought him for 5.5 million and he starts for Manchester City. And yeah, he's not returning too often, but it's still true that only Erling Haaland has taken more shots at Manchester City than the Dutch international, and only Doku and Haaland have a higher non-pen expected goal involvement for the team. So I'm just going to hold the faith for now. So, Victor Gyökeres, very spoken about for this season for sure. For some for good reasons, some for not. Seems a bit cynical in my opinion. But it is true, the Arsenal striker has not scored in the Premier League since the welcome of Nottingham Forest in Game Week 4. approaching game week 8. And he also hasn't scored in 8 straight games for both Arsenal and Sweden, so it's not too good for him from a scoring perspective. And he's also yet to score in an away game in any competition for the Gunners, and he hasn't registered an away big chance in the league either. But the Cottagers could provide an opportunity to break this drought, as only Forest and Burnley have conceded more goals across the last 5 game weeks. So let's hope we can get off the mark on the way there anyway. After a decent start, Joao Pedro has been limited to just 1 assist in the past 4 game weeks. This can be attributed to Chelsea's red cards, having seen red cards in 2 of those 4 games. And seeing as the Blues now embark on a promising run of fixtures that can really provide a platform to start scoring goals, let's hope Pedro can get back in amongst the goals. And last but not least, of course, the perma captain at the moment, Erling Haaland, has found the net in 10 straight games for club and country, and he leads the league for shots in the box, big chances, and now ownership as well. He's the most owned asset in the game, so very easy captain there. So that's the team selection. I will confirm my team 15 minutes before the deadline at 10:45 UK time. I'm just going to wait for some embargo quotes to see if there's any clues, but I'm pretty set on bringing in Pope, Enzo, and of course the star boy Saka. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and hit that subscribe, and make sure you drop any questions that you have in the comments, or you can DM me as well and I'll be sure to answer them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.